The Dear Agency specializes in helping you understand your coverage before you need it. We offer all lines of personal and commercial insurance, including auto, home, and life. Contact Don Deere at 210-507-2169 and visit us at 7529 North Loop 1604 in Live Oak, Texas, or farmersagent.com/ddeer.
Are you pregnant and alone? You have options. The Sanctuary of Hope offers expectant mothers ages 12 to 22 a place to live, medical care, counseling, continued education, and options to raise your baby in a loving environment or help you with adoption. We want to help provide you and your baby with a bright future. Call us or email us today and let's walk through this together. 210-499-1554 or sohcares.org. All inquiries are confidential.
You are listening to I Am Refocused Radio with your host, Shamaya Reed. This show is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. And now, here's your host, Shamaya Reed.
Hey, welcome to I Am Refocused Radio. We are here once again, and today we have the honor to talk to a police officer from San Antonio Police Department, Mr. Cory Schuler. Officer Cory Schuler, I want to welcome to I Am Refocused Radio and say how you doing today, sir.
Oh, good morning, sir. Thank you so much for having me. I'm awesome, man. I'm just honored to be here and hang out with you this morning, sir.
You were born in Austin, Texas, raised in a Christian home with both parents. Your dad was a pastor. Your mom eventually got into the law enforcement agency, and you and your brother, y'all are just a close family. So tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Yes, sir. So born and raised, like I said, in Austin, Texas. Both parents and an older brother. We are very, very close, very, very tight-knit. I think even today, man, there's not a 2 or 3 days that go by that we don't all talk and connect. Family has always been important in our lives, as well as our walk with Christ. Family is that one thing that you only get one of. And so we definitely spend time together. Like I said, growing up, man, Dad was heavily into the ministry. There wasn't a Sunday that goes by that we weren't the first family in church and at the front of the front pew. And so, you know, mom, hardworking woman, worked very diligently, man, to provide what she didn't have growing up to us. So she started her career at Texas DPS. She was a civilian her entire career, but man, started in the mail room and worked her way all the way up to a management position. She was ultimately afforded the opportunity to control all of the purchasing and outfitting of the troopers when they went from cadets to troopers on the street. So that was my first experience, man, with ever seeing law enforcement, being so close to the troops as they were going through their cadet trainings and then transitioning into state troopers.
And growing up, this was something that you were exposed to as far as law and officers. How was that like, being able to be close and having almost like an inside look to that?
Well, I thought it was very intriguing. You know, I went to school right across the street from her job. We grew up in one of the urban areas, and so I transferred to be closer to her for after school care. And so when I would finish up with my books, I would walk across the street, and she would meet me halfway. And at that point, a lot of them were doing their PT, very vigorous training, very team-oriented, camaraderie building exercises as they're out to their PT. And I would make my way into her office and working on my homework on the floor. And as these officers were coming in, some of them were getting new patches. They were always nice. They were always sharp. They were, you know, they took a liking to me at being such a young age. And so, you know, that was, they set the standard as to be role models for myself at that age. So like I said, just starting to get to know guys by face, by name. But every single officer that I came in contact with, man, they had a certain aura about them. and it was unshakable even as I continued to grow up.
Once again, we're talking to Officer Cory Schuler from SAPD on I Am Refocused Radio. And when you got older, you got into sports, and
Yes.
football was something that you were starting to get interested in. Tell us about middle school and how you got involved with sports and how that impacted your school life.
So at right about middle school for me, we were growing up, like I said, man, in the urban area. Crime was on the rise. There were several times that my brother was not making the greatest decisions, and so my parents had a hard conversation with removing us from the inner city area and moving out to the suburbs. At that point, the schools in the suburbs were better than the schooling system that I had where I was currently at. And so at that point, we moved out to Leander, Texas. And, football and track were always a huge part of my life. Ultimately, it kept me busy. It kept me grounded. And so I leaned heavily into those. My football and track career, it started to progress. I was going into my senior year, and so getting ready to graduate from high school, I started thinking about college and start doing some research into college. The price tag of college comes up, and at 17 years old, not knowing much about finance, not knowing much about my parents' finance, the fear of being able to afford college was a worry for me. So then I set out to be the hardest worker, the hardest student athlete that I could, keeping my grades above par, and ultimately I earned a scholarship to Texas A&M Kingsville. And so I signed my last letter of intent, and I reported to Kingsville my freshman year in college. So as I'm in college and that first semester breezes by, I start to understand the transition of the high school regimen to the college regimen. At that same time, my grandfather's health started to decline. And so at that point, I was actually forced to move back home, where I continued school and continued working as a full-time student, but also was a primary caregiver to him in his stage of sickness.
And how did that impact you? Did that keep you closer to family? How did that play a role as you're trying to also achieve your goals in life?
Well, like I said, family was always first and foremost, right after Christ. And we were, like I said, we've grown up as a very close-knit family. And when Grandpa needed assistance in that time in need, man, it was the family's duty. Knowing that God always has a plan, and God's plan is always going to be worked out. And it's up to us to be diligent in it. And so I knew that I was always going to finish a college career, and I knew that God would afford me an opportunity to get back on the field. But at that point in stage, I needed to be where family needed me. And so, it is a shell shock. You have to grow up really quickly, and I think that's a huge benefit and a testament in my later years as to the growth that I experienced having to make that transition from a college student from a college athlete to a college student and working a full-time job, to be there, like I said, until my grandfather got situated where he no longer needed my assistance.
And once again, you listen to I Am Refocused Radio, talking to Officer Cory Schuler, SAPD. What was your next step that you were seeing for yourself that you wanted to take?
So before graduation, after I'll just touch back on after my grandfather's after I did that stint with my grandfather being a caregiver, I was actually afforded the opportunity to go back into college and continue my dream. Life took me to California at that point. I got an offer to play at a junior college in Mission Viejo, and I had no idea about anything about California. No family there. I just so happened to pick up the phone one day and and a coach answered on the other line. I told him my situation, and he was open and excited to see me play. Send him some game film, and Lord behold, the next week he offered me a position on the team. So I get on the plane, and I report to California, not knowing anybody in California. I remember my first day in California, I was 18 years old, undoubtedly one of the scariest times in my life when I started to realize the cost of living, the sacrifice that my family was going through just so I could be afforded the opportunity. They're at home diligently working, and at that point, and it was on me. I felt the pressure of this solely being on me to make it or break it. And I can remember that day I prayed and I asked God, man, to send me a blessing, and that and that blessing definitely came in a form of one of my roommates. So after that season, I was awarded a scholarship to Angelo State, where I came back to Texas, and I graduated with a Bachelor's of Science in Communication. And so from there, brings me to your next question in regards to getting ready to graduate. I'm in the middle of my senior football season, and graduation is quickly approaching. I had no real idea what I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to stay active. I knew I wanted to enjoy my career, and I knew, that I once heard that, man, if you love your career, you'll never work a day in your life. And so as I get to graduation, I was fortunate to meet with one of my cousins. He was actually a police officer and still is a police officer in Austin, Texas. He talks to me about the brotherhood as well as the benefits that this career provides and the atmosphere, the team atmosphere that it provides. And that was intriguing to me because that's what I've grown up on my whole life, being affiliated with the team.
And when you had that opportunity to have those discussions, what was going on in your mind as far as what is the plan that I want to go for and take on?
Well, first, I wanted a police department that had values that aligned up with my parents had instilled in me as a child. I wanted a department that was going to strive to treat everybody with integrity, with respect, compassion, and fairness. I wanted to be able to take care of myself. I wanted to be able to take care of my community as well as my family. And I wanted I wanted to enjoy my career. I wanted a career that's going to take me the distance. I didn't want a career that in 10 years from now, I would be burnt out. I wanted to be able to still maintain my family balance. And I wanted to be active, and I wanted that camaraderie.
And once again, you listen to I Am Refocused Radio. We are talking to Officer Cory Schuler, SAPD, and his life story. When you finally became an officer and you started to build your career, what were some of the things that opened your eyes when you joined the law enforcement? So
coming into the police department, like I said, I did my due diligence in researching departments all over this country. And San Antonio Police Department by far was the best department that I came up with. Being a police officer, man, it takes hard work. That's being a collegiate athlete, I would definitely say this is one of the toughest things that I've ever had to do as far as the hard work and the commitment. It takes the long hours of training. It takes a genuine care for the human race. And people are going to show you the best of who they are, and they're also going to show you the worst of who they are. This career provides, like I said, great opportunities for you to change the world, street by street, block by block, house by house. And so I would tell anybody that is even thinking about joining the police department, man, don't let any time go by. This was the best decision of my life. And so San Antonio, we definitely have one of the greatest recruiting departments. So anybody listening in that's even considering it, man, SAPDcareers.com is the greatest way to get started. just the day-to-day grind. When I first broke out, I worked on the northeast side of town, and I was as a patrolman, making house calls, making disturbance calls. You are exposed to all the elements of the world. I was a young officer at the time. I came on, and so being placed in situations inside people's homes where I don't have any children at that time of my own, but having to assist parents in raising their children, being able to bring my youth into certain situations where I can relate to the folks that I'm dealing with. You start to see a lot of the hurt, you start to see a lot of the pain, but then you think with your head and your heart, and you'll never go wrong. Having that genuine care for people is what's helped me out the most in my career.
And as an officer, you mentioned in the interview faith being part of your family's life. How has faith played a role in your life, especially as an officer? Well,
I'll tell you that my faith is in my DNA. My faith reminds me every day that this world isn't my home, and so I'm going on to glory after my time on this earth is spent. And so, what do I do to impact this world? What do I do to make a change in this world? My faith has carried me. There's times that right now I'm currently on the DWI unit, and there's times that I stop folks, and they're just going through. Whether they've gotten bad news from the doctor appointment, whether they have just got off the phone with their children, whatever they may be going through. And this career will humble you. This career will show you that that everybody in San Antonio, everybody in this world, we're going through something. My something may not be your something, but it's something. And there's days, man, there's not a day that goes by that I don't pray for this city. I don't pray for the leadership of this department. I don't pray for the leadership of our world. Understanding that as a policeman, man, we're a part of this community too. We sit in traffic too. We're in that grocery store with you too. So ultimately, when I deal with anybody, man, we deal with them in a sense of what if that's my mother? What if that's my brother? And I think that my faith, teaching, my upbringing helps me to cope, helps me to talk, helps me to understand, helps me to reason. And I've had family members incarcerated. I've had brothers that I love dearly that have stepped off the beaten path or have made mistakes. We are all human. We all fall short every single day. And so the biggest thing is us continuing to strive to be better. And as a department, I think as an officer, that's our goal. Every day we strive to be a better department. Every day we strive to be better officers, better citizens, better Christ followers.
And once again, you listen to I Am Refocused Radio, talking to Officer Cory Schuler with SAPD. You also, later on in life, you reconnected with a college teammate that started a nonprofit called God Behind Bars. Tell the audience a little bit about that organization.
Oh, yes, sir. And so this was that teammate that I mentioned earlier in California. And at the time, and I had no idea why California was even put on my radar. But it was shortly afterwards that I realized in my life. I did, like I said, at that point in time, law enforcement wasn't even on my radar. But I got reconnected with my teammate, and he and shortly after meeting him in California is actually when he left to start this nonprofit called God Behind Bars. Ultimately, the mission behind God Behind Bars is to bridge a gap between God and inmates. Bridge the gap between God and inmates outside the church walls. God Behind Bars works with a couple of our local churches to provide an opportunity for a relationship that wouldn't exist otherwise. So I've had the privilege to walk alongside of this organization and have seen lives being changed at firsthand. And so like I said, Jake and the guy behind bar staff are incredible. They are in, I want to say upwards of 25 states. And like I said, they work with local churches to provide a faith-based experience. They stream worship services into prison. And so, like I said, being an officer and being able to walk alongside of an organization that has its feet directly on the ground, creating the change, creating the opportunity, bridging relationships, healing. It allows me to police a little differently too when I hit these streets. Is understanding that there may be a disconnect at times from inmates or people that we just stop on the street, and so getting into that different chain of thought when it comes to mending relationships or trying to understand what it's like on the other side of the coin. And so, like I said, that organization has helped me immensely to grasp an understanding of sometimes what inmates are thinking, or what prisoners are thinking, or what people that I come in contact with that aren't law enforcement are perceiving and thinking.
And what would you like to tell the city of San Antonio and the listeners listening to this podcast, this radio show? What message would you like to give them?
Well, first and foremost, like I said, I want to thank you. I want to thank the listeners, and I want to thank the city of San Antonio. We love the city of San Antonio. We are the city of San Antonio. I proudly wear this uniform to my brothers and sisters in blue. I thank you for your hard work and your dedication to making the city of San Antonio a better place. I proudly stand up to be counted as the men and women that make a difference in the lives of this city. And so thank you. I know that in lighter times, we're in a transition. And so understand that the city of San Antonio, you are at the foremost of the San Antonio Police Department's list. We care for you. We love you. And so thank you for your support. Thank you for your love. And like I said, we can't thank the city of San Antonio enough for being such an awesome city.
For those who are interested in becoming an officer, you gave a pitch to SAPDcareers.com. Again, that's SAPDcareers.com. Someone listening, after hearing your story, wants to become an officer. What are some of the ways they can connect and maybe find a mentor?
The first place I would send you is going to be the SAPDcareers.com website. We also offer numerous mentor programs. We have an Explore program that allows young and youth to experience the early stages of becoming a policeman. What do we actually do? We offer ride-alongs. Like I said, up until becoming a police officer myself, there was so much that I didn't understand that we do. As San Antonio Police Department, we have a variety of different career paths. Whether it's wanting to be a K-9 officer, whether it's wanting to be a family assistance officer, whether it's wanting to be a helicopter pilot. There's so many different avenues that are related to police department, but related to law enforcement, but are so vast. And so this is a career that you could start in the K-9 unit and end up flying a helicopter before it's all said and done. And so I would tell you that there are several options. We would love to solicit applicants. This is a great department. Like I said, today is the day, and today is the time. Yesterday is the past, tomorrow is the future, and today is a gift. And so, from me to you, I would offer you not waste any time on joining this awesome department and serving this incredible city.
Once again, this I Am Refocused Radio talking to Officer Cory Schuler, SAPD. We definitely want to thank you for taking time in your busy schedule to be on the show today. But before we let you go, while we have some time left, when people are seeing everything that's happening in this world, what is one thing that you would like to tell the listening audience to encourage them to get to know their fellow officers?
I would tell you that, like I said, we put this uniform on, and we are a part of this community as well. Our children go to the local schools. We go to the local grocery stores. And so let's not be blinded by the uniform. Understand that under that uniform is a man and a woman that looks in the mirror every morning just like you. We understand the hurt. We understand what may be going on in the media. And like I said, we're all in this together. And so from us to you, understand that we all are pulling on the same direction. We would love nothing more to continue to help this city be the amazing city that it is. But it takes a group effort. And so the San Antonio Police Department and San Antonio Police Officers, we're definitely willing to do our part. But we ask that the rest of the city meet us halfway to make this incredible city continue to be incredible. So, like I said, I can't thank you guys enough. Stay encouraged. San Antonio Police Department is doing the right things and moving in the right direction. So stay encouraged, world, and stay encouraged, San Antonio. We definitely appreciate it, and I can't wait for the future days to come where we can see how far we have came. So thank you.
A handshake takes two people to complete. So with that, I would say thank you for your service, and to everyone in blue, thank you for what you do for the community and your local community. And like Officer Douglas Green started with I'm Your Focus Radio, the blue is with you. So San Antonio, thank you for listening. And Officer Cory Schuler, SAPD, thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you.
Once again, like we say on every single show, keep God first, stay focused, and peace.
Hi, San Antonio. Need a barber? Visit our good friend Rico Rodriguez, the owner of Rockefeller's Barbershop in San Antonio, Texas, 1733 Babcock Road, and book your appointment today by calling 210-782-5188.